We've all been taught debt is bad, avoid it, pay it off, stay away. What if I told you that the advice, get out of debt, is what's keeping you poor? I know, that sounds insane. But here's what nobody tells you. Almost 90% of self-made millionaires leverage debt. The ultra-wealthy, they're carrying millions, sometimes billions, in debt on purpose. And they're using it to get richer. Meanwhile, you've been told to fear it. So what do they know that you don't? Today, we're exposing the biggest financial secret of the wealthy, the difference between good debt and bad debt, and how to use debt like a billionaire, not like a broke person. Let's go.
The debt identity crisis. Let me start by challenging everything you think you know about debt. Most people believe all debt is the enemy, something to be feared, avoided, eliminated. And for most people, that belief is what keeps them broke. Because the wealthy see debt completely differently. They see it as a tool, a lever, a way to multiply their money.
Good debt helps you build assets over time, while bad debt is quickly consumed and provides no lasting value.
Imagine your finances are like your diet. Some foods build a healthy body. Vegetables, protein, whole grains. Other foods destroy your health over time. Candy, soda, junk food. Debt works the same way. Good debt is like eating vegetables. It builds your financial future. It grows your wealth. It makes you stronger. Bad debt is like eating candy for every meal. It feels good in the moment, but it's slowly destroying you. The problem? Most people are drowning in financial junk food and wondering why they're broke. So, let's get clear on the difference.
Good debt, the tool of the rich. Good debt has a formal name in finance, leverage. And here's the definition that changes everything. Leverage is borrowing money to invest in something where the expected return is greater than the cost of the loan. You're using someone else's money to make even more money. Let me give you two clear examples. Example 1, the mortgage. You buy a house. Let's say it costs $300,000. You put down 20%, $60,000, and borrow the rest from the bank. Over the next 30 years, two things happen. 1, the house appreciates in value. Real estate historically goes up about 3 to 4% per year. That $300,000 house could be worth $700,000 in 30 years.
Wow, look at that!
2, someone's paying down that mortgage. If you live there, you're building equity. If you rent it out, the tenant's paying your mortgage for you. You used $60,000 of your own money to control a $300,000 asset that's now worth $700,000. That's leverage. Example 2, the strategic student loan. Notice I said strategic. If you borrow $50,000 for a degree in engineering, computer science, or nursing, fields with high earning potential, you could easily make an extra $1 million over your lifetime compared to not having that degree. You borrowed $50,000, you'll earn an extra $1 million. That's good debt. But if you borrow $100,000 for a degree with no clear career path and low earning potential, that's a disaster. Same loan, different outcome. The use determines whether it's good or bad. The Kiyosaki example uses real estate leverage. Robert Kiyosaki explains this perfectly. You've got $100,000 to invest. Option 1, you buy one rental property for $100,000 cash. It makes you $800 a month in profit. That's a 9% annual return. Option 2, you use that $100,000 as 5 separate $20,000 down payments. You borrow the rest. Now you own 5 rental properties. Those 5 properties, according to Kiyosaki's math, generate an 18% annual return. Same $100,000, double the profit. Why? Because you're controlling $500,000 worth of assets instead of just $100,000. That's the power of leverage. That's what the rich do.
Bad debt, the wealth destroyer. Now let's talk about the villain. Bad debt is money you borrow to buy things that lose value and don't generate income. It's consumption, it's waste, and it's making someone else rich, not you. The most destructive form? Credit card debt. The average credit card interest rate right now is 24%. 24%. Let me put that in perspective. If you carry a $5,000 balance on your credit card and only make minimum payments, you'll be paying it off for years, and you'll pay almost double what you originally borrowed. That's not borrowing, that's financial suicide. And here's the psychological trap. Studies show that people spend 20 to 30% more when they pay with a credit card versus cash. Why? Because it doesn't feel real. You're not handing over physical money, you're just swiping a piece of plastic. Credit card companies know this. They're counting on it. They market convenience, rewards, points. But what they're really selling you is a trap. You borrow at 24% to buy things that lose value immediately. You buy clothes, gadgets, dinners out, vacations. None of those things make you money. Most of them are worthless within a year, and you're paying 24% interest on them. Meanwhile, the wealthy are borrowing at 3 to 5% to buy assets that appreciate at 8 to 10% per year. See the difference? They're using debt to get richer. You're using debt to get poorer. And here's the ancient truth that still applies today. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. When you're trapped in bad debt, you're not free. You're working to make someone else rich.
The billionaire's secret. Buy, borrow, die. All right, now I'm about to show you the most sophisticated debt strategy in the world. It's how the ultra-wealthy stay rich and avoid taxes at the same time. It's called buy, borrow, die. And once you understand it, you'll never look at debt the same way again. Here's how it works. Step 1, buy. First, billionaires buy assets that appreciate over time. Stocks, real estate, companies, art. Let's say they buy $10 million worth of stock. Over 10 years, it grows to $50 million. Step 2, borrow. Now, here's where it gets genius. When they need cash to fund their lifestyle, buy a yacht, invest in another company, do they sell the stock? No. Because if they sell, they'd have to pay capital gains tax. That could be 20% or more on the $40 million gain. They'd lose $8 million to taxes. Instead, they borrow against the stock. They take out a low-interest loan, let's say 3 to 5%, using their $50 million portfolio as collateral. The bank lends them, say, $10 million. That borrowed money is not taxable income. It's a loan, tax-free. They use that $10 million to live, to invest, to build more wealth. And they're paying 3% interest instead of 20% in taxes. Step 3, die. When they eventually pass away, their heirs inherit the assets. And here's the kicker. Because of a tax rule called the stepped-up basis, the assets are revalued at the current market price. The heirs can sell them immediately and pay little to no capital gains tax. The loan gets paid off from the estate, the tax bill wiped clean. Buy, borrow, die. That's how the ultra-wealthy avoid billions in taxes and stay rich for generations. Now, the die part is estate planning for the super rich, but the buy and borrow philosophy, you can start using that today. Your game plan, from bad debt to good debt. Okay, so how do you actually apply this to your life? You're not a billionaire. You don't have 50 million in stocks, but the principles are the same. Here's your step-by-step game plan. Step 1, eliminate bad debt. Before you do anything else, you need to get out of the bad debt trap. Create a budget, track your income, subtract your mandatory expenses. Whatever's left, throw it at your highest interest debt first. Credit cards at 24%, that's your enemy. Kill it. Car loans at 8%, next. Freeing yourself from bad debt is the first step to financial freedom. Step 2. Build your foundation. Before you even think about taking on good debt, you need a safety net. Build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Why? Because if something goes wrong, you lose your job, the market crashes, you need a cushion so you don't have to sell your investments at a loss or go back into bad debt. Step 3. Improve your credit score. As you pay down debt and make consistent on-time payments, your credit score improves. And a high credit score is your ticket to the world of good debt. Why? Because it gives you access to low-interest loans. The wealthy can borrow at 3 to 5%. People with bad credit borrow at 15 to 24%. The difference between those rates is the difference between building wealth and staying broke. Step 4. Use leverage wisely. Once you've got a strong foundation and good credit, you can start using leverage. Buy a rental property with a low-interest mortgage. Start a business with a low-interest business loan. Invest in yourself with education that boosts your earning potential. The key? Make sure the return is greater than the cost. If you're borrowing at 4%, you better be earning at least 8 to 10% on that investment. Otherwise, it's not leverage, it's just risk.
The risk warning. Leverage cuts both ways. Now, I need to give you a reality check because leverage is powerful, but it's also dangerous. Here's the truth. Leverage amplifies outcomes in both directions. If your investment goes up, you make a lot of money. But if it goes down, you lose a lot of money and you still owe the loan. Let me give you an example. You buy a rental property, you borrow 80% of the cost, your tenant pays rent, covers the mortgage, and you're making a profit. Great. That's good debt working for you. But what if the tenant stops paying?
Pockets are empty.
What if the housing market crashes, like it did in 2008? Suddenly, the property's worth less than what you owe, but you still have to make the monthly payment. That's how good debt can turn into a crushing financial burden. Dave Ramsey, a famous financial expert, argues that all debt is bad because of this risk. And you know what? He's got a point. Debt is a tool, not a magic solution. Like any tool, it can build or destroy. It depends on how you use it. The choice is yours. Here's the bottom line. The fundamental difference between the rich and the poor isn't whether they use debt, it's how they use it. The poor use high-interest debt to buy things that lose value. The rich use low-interest debt to buy things that grow in value. Same tool, opposite outcomes. You've been told to fear debt, to avoid it, to never touch it. But that advice keeps you small, because while you're avoiding all debt, the wealthy are using it to multiply their fortunes. Now you know the secret. You know the difference between good debt and bad debt. You know the buy, borrow, die strategy. You know how to eliminate the bad, build your foundation, and strategically use the good. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to keep making lenders rich with bad debt? Or are you going to adopt the playbook of the wealthy and use debt to build your own fortune? The choice is yours.
If this video just changed how you see debt forever, smash that subscribe button and join the Wealth Tribe. We're not just learning about money, we're learning how the rich think about money. Drop a comment. Are you carrying good debt or bad debt right now? And what's your plan to flip the script? Next video, we're breaking down the exact steps to improve your credit score fast so you can access those low-interest loans and start building wealth like the rich do. Let's build together, tribe. See you in the next one.